Hello everyone, welcome to ABC Interactive English. I'm Mike.
I'm Rainbow.
And it's part 2 or part B of our Grammar Station dialogues for this month. Yesterday, remember, Tammy and Brian were meeting at school for the first time, becoming friends by telling each other information about their lives.
Yes,
right?
Where they live, where they're from.
Exactly, and that was a way for them to connect and maybe to start a relationship, to start to become friends. Now, part B, we're going to be meeting some new characters today in our dialogue. It's kind of a different topic. As you can see, it's an interesting story. But I guess you could say that telling an interesting story to a person you just met could be another way of starting a relationship, of becoming friends.
Oh, yeah.
If your story's about something they like, or even if your story's funny and makes them laugh, that can be really good for a new relationship.
So I would probably talk about where I've traveled to as an interesting story, right?
Yeah.
So if we're both in Taiwan, I might talk about how Okinawa was amazing, how I visited the aquarium and they should go. That's a good way to connect. So I think travel stories can be very interesting. What about you, Mike?
Absolutely. Travel stories where you kind of came across a problem, maybe something bad happened.
Something difficult.
You can talk about how you got over the problem, how you succeeded in the end. Maybe your story can finish with kind of a surprise or a
ending.
Funny situation. Maybe something scary happened to you.
Something really bad.
You were in danger for a while and you can talk about what happened in the end and how there was a happy ending. But keep your story interesting, keep it exciting, keep it a little bit surprising. And hopefully the other thing that will happen is you have another person listening and paying attention to your story, because you could have the best story in the world, but if I'm late and I gotta go,
or if I'm tired and I don't want to listen to you,
or I'm just rude and I don't think you're that interesting, it's not gonna work.
No.
So make sure you're telling your story to the right person and you have the right story, and then it's gonna be very entertaining. All right, guys, let's look at it. Part B, an interesting story. Greg and Lisa, go. Greg and Lisa are in the living room.
Hey, do you want to hear an interesting story?
Sure. I like interesting stories.
Okay. The story goes like this. One day, my friend saw a strange man on the street.
All right, so our title is Part B, an interesting story. Now, before we start talking about an interesting story, we should tell you guys what the word interesting means.
Yes.
So you know how to tell a story like that. Interesting.
Something interesting is something that you are interested in. So what does that mean? It means you find it funny, you find it cool, you find it unique, you could find it weird, scary. It's not so normal. It actually draws your attention and you're a little bit curious about it because it's not just any old random story. It's actually a unique story. Maybe it has a surprise ending. But there's something about it that keeps you wondering and thinking about it. Now, of course, interesting can describe many things. It could be a story. It could be a person. Now, if you meet an interesting person, they could be a little bit different from anyone you've ever met and you want to find out more about them. So it makes you curious. Okay, so we are going to get started with the article and I wonder what interesting story is going to happen with Greg and Lisa.
Well, it says there Greg and Lisa are in the living room. So obviously, they're not new friends. They've known each other for a while. Maybe they live together. Maybe they're just spending time at one's home. But they definitely know each other. So Greg begins our dialogue and he says to Lisa, "Hey, do you want to hear an interesting story?" Often when you go home in the evening, if something happened to you that day, it might still be on your mind and you might want to tell people your interesting story or tell them about the interesting thing that happened to you today. But anyways, he's got a story. He likes it. He thinks it's interesting. He doesn't think it's the opposite. It's not a boring story. No, this is an interesting story. And he hopes that Lisa wants to know more.
Sure, says Lisa. I like interesting stories.
Right.
Well, who wouldn't want to hear something cool, something different, something unique, right? Who doesn't want to hear an interesting story? I want to hear one.
Yeah, hear is a verb that we use when talking about using our ears. Now, it's easy to get confused between hear and listen. Listen is more like when you're paying attention to the information your ears are giving you.
Right.
When you want to enjoy the music, you listen to the music, you follow along, you spend more than a few seconds or minutes paying attention to what is going in your ears. Hear is much simpler. It's just getting noise in your ears that goes to your brain. So you might be reading a book without using your ears, right? You're using your eyes and your brain to read the book, but then a noise happens around you. You would hear that noise. If it's a strange noise, you might then listen to the noise. But hear is just to have some sound go into your ear and your brain goes, hey, that was sound. That's something happening. And we also would talk about listening to a story or hearing a story. You could also use it in that way when you say, would you like to hear a story or would you like to listen to a story? In that case, both are okay. So, does she want to hear his story?
Yes, she really does. And so he is happy to tell her.
Okay. He says the story goes like this. Are you ready? All right, here we go.
Ready.
One day, notice he doesn't say once upon a time. It's not a fairy tale. It's a real thing. So one day. So this wasn't today or yesterday. Sometime in the past. One day, he says, my friend saw a strange man on the street.
Ooh.
All right, that's already a little bit interesting because he described this man as being a strange man.
Yeah, and this is also another word that's kind of funny because what does it mean when somebody is strange? It means not ordinary, somebody that looks a bit weird, maybe a little bit different. Maybe they're acting in a way where you wonder about them because it is not how normal people would act. It could be that he was dressed strange, it could be his actions were strange, or it could be he smelled weird or something like that. Something about him was not normal. We don't know about it yet, but we will find out very soon after the break about this strange man and why he was so strange.
How strange did the man look? Also, where was the man on the street?
That is not important.
Really? It is important to me. I want to know all the details.
Well, I don't have all the details. My friend didn't tell me. So, do you want to hear the story or not?
Now I'm not so sure.
Okay, so we are back and Greg is telling Lisa his interesting story. This actually happened to a friend of his a while ago, but the friend was out one day and saw a strange man on the street. That's what we know so far. But already, Lisa has questions.
How strange did the man look? Also, where was the man on the street? Like, I want to know more about this. Give me more detail.
Okay, but maybe she should slow down a little bit. He just started the story. Maybe he will explain that later on if she just gives him some time, because he's kind of like, why are you asking so many questions? I just said one thing. Or as he says, that is not important. How strange the man looked. Was it his clothes? Did he have a bunch of flowers in his hair?
What's wrong with him?
Was he wearing 2 orange shoes on the wrong feet? Whatever. It's not important. If something is important, we can use this word in lots of ways. But when we're talking about a story or when we're talking about information, this is the part of the story or this is the information that you have to know, all right? If we're watching an action movie and there's a car chase and your friend goes, is this a Wednesday or a Thursday in the movie? You would go, it's not important. They're driving through New York, smashing through buildings. Who cares if it's Friday or Tuesday or Thursday? It's not important. It's not information that you need to know to enjoy the movie. Do you know what I mean? Is James Bond left-handed or right-handed?
And how tall is he?
Harry Potter, is he 162 or 165?
And are those glasses real?
It's not important. All right. So he's kind of saying, don't worry about that stuff. You don't need to know it to follow and to enjoy the story.
I have to admit, I'm a little bit like Lisa.
Oh, okay.
I like the details.
Okay.
So I want to know because I can't imagine it if it's not clear, you know? Lisa says, really? It is important to me. I want to know all the details. I'm like that too. I'm all like, right. Give me a picture. I want to know the details. What are the details? The details are the small things, like, was he strange because he looked weird? Or was it his actions? Or was he too tall or too short? Was he wearing weird clothes? Like, give me all the little parts. Now, when you're talking about something important, it's usually the big ideas. The opposite of that is the small details. Like, what time? How tall? Is it left hand or right hand? These are the little things, and they matter to some people, but it doesn't matter to Greg because that wasn't what he was saying. But Lisa was like, I don't understand this story. Give me details.
Yes, when you're building a rocket ship to go to the moon, the details are very important. Yeah. You don't want it to explode and kill everyone.
Yeah.
But if you're telling a story about a funny thing that happened to you, maybe the details aren't that important, especially if the story didn't happen to you, but you heard it from your friend. And that's Greg's situation. So he says, well, I don't have all the details. I wasn't there. As he explains, my friend didn't tell me. His friend saw this happen, and when the friend told him the story, it was interesting, but Greg didn't get all those little details. So now he's getting the feeling that Lisa isn't really enjoying this, maybe doesn't really want to hear it at all. So he says, so do you want to hear the story or not? No. This might be because she doesn't look like she's enjoying it. Maybe she's looking at her watch all the time. Maybe she's like, oh yeah? Really? That's interesting. Yeah. She's just not really paying attention the way he expects her to be.
And she's honest about it. She says, now I'm not so sure. I mean, you don't have details for me, and the details are interesting to me. So your story is no longer interesting to me. It's only interesting to you.
Interesting. All right. I don't agree with Lisa there. I think she should just let Greg tell his story and at the end find out if it's interesting or not. But yes, it seems Lisa is very focused on the details. Maybe Greg can get his friend to tell Lisa the story. He'll know more of the details. Maybe then she will have the time and the interest.
Maybe she'll think it's interesting.
To listen to it. There you go, guys. So tell good stories. If you're listening to a story, be polite. Let the person just tell the story the way they want to. You can ask about the details afterwards. Thanks for joining us. Take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you back here sometime very soon. Until then, I hope many interesting things happen to you, but not too interesting. Yeah. Greg and Lisa are in the living room.
Hey, do you want to hear an interesting story?
Sure. I like interesting stories.
Okay, the story goes like this. One day, my friend saw a strange man on the street.
How strange did the man look? Also, where was the man on the street?
That is not important.
Really? It is important to me. I want to know all the details.
Well, I don't have all the details. My friend didn't tell me. So, do you want to hear the story or not?
Now I'm not so sure.
Hi, I'm Tina. 我们来看这一课的重点单字。第一个 interesting 形容词有趣的。The book is really interesting. 这本书真的很有趣。下一个单字 hear 动词听，请听。它的三态是 hear, heard, heard. Please sit down and hear my idea. 请坐下听听我的想法。下一个单字 strange 形容词奇怪的。Did you hear the strange noise from the kitchen? 你有听到来自厨房的那个奇怪的声音吗？最后一个单字 important 形容词重要的。A healthy diet is important. 健康的饮食是重要的。接着我们来看重点文法。第一个，我们来整理 sure 的用法。Sure 单独使用的时候是一个副词，表示好啊、当然的意思。作为形容词的时候，可以指的是确信的、有把握的。我们先来看看好啊、当然这个意思的例句。Can I borrow your pen? 我可以跟你借一支笔吗？ Sure, here you go. 好啊，给你。我们再来看看确信的、有把握的这个意思的例句。I am sure that I locked the door before leaving the house. 我确信在离开房子之前已经锁好了门。下一个文法 The story goes like this. 故事是这样的，这是为了要带出故事内容的一个固定的用法，惯用的一个现在简单式。Like 在这里是一个介系词，意思是如、像。我们来看看这个例句。
Guess what? Bradley and I are together!
That's great! I'm just in a little bit of a hurry. The bank's about to close, but tell me about it.
Right, so the story goes like this. It was a wonderful sunny day, amazing weather, about 80 degrees or so.
Sorry, the bank is just about to shut. I really need to go. Can we... Tell me, yeah.
As I was saying, it was a sunny 80 degrees, wonderful weather, and it was Saturday.
Sorry, I'm happy you guys got together, but can we just move it along?
Do you want to hear the story or not?
Yeah.
As I was saying, it was Saturday, Saturday, it was Saturday, and Hey!
最后一个文法 Does somebody want to 加上动词 or not 某人是否想要做某件事情 or not 是或许不的意思，一般放在句尾。我们来看看这个例句 Do you want to join us or not? 你是否想要加入我们啊？以上就是这一课的重点单字跟文法，我们下一课再见，拜拜。
Hi everyone! Today we will be going to Hsinchu and learn some interesting facts about the Hakka culture. Now we'll be visiting the Hakka cultural buildings and the areas nearby. If you're really interested in the culture, you can also check out the story house that provides a guided tour. And after visiting all the buildings, there's also a cool ecological forest park that you can check out. So let's go into today's lesson.
Let's start from LIVEABC Senior High School and visit the neighboring Hakka cultural buildings and areas. First, we come to the new tile house Hakka Cultural District. During the Qing Dynasty, many people came to Taiwan to grow crops on the land and ended up settling there. Later, they built the Zhongxiao Shrine and called it New Tile House. This area became the first Hakka culture conservation zone in Taiwan. It contains ecological education parks full of rice fields and water canals. The zone also has many unique buildings. If you want to learn more about Hakka culture, you can go to the Xinhua Wu Story House and take a guided tour. Next, we come to the Hakka Cultural Park of Jiaotong University. The Lin family developed the land and built the foundation for their family business here. There are several well-known buildings here. They built Wenli Hall to celebrate their offspring who passed the imperial examination. It is a Si Her Yuan, which serves as the council chamber of the Lin family. In addition, Da Fudi used to be an ancestral hall. The name was later changed to Da Fudi because the Lin family actively supported local public welfare and greatly helped the Qing dynasty. There is another ancestral hall in the park to worship the ancestors of the Lin family, Mazu and Imin. It is the Lin's ancestral temple. Both of these historical buildings show that the Hakka group truly respects and worships their ancestors, so these places are surely worth seeing. After visiting many buildings in the area, let's take a look at the natural scenery. Dongxing Canal can be found in Shui Biantou Ecological Forest Park. The development of water resources began as early as the Qianlong reign of the Qing dynasty, when mainland immigrants entered Liujia. Shui Biantou is a special facility. It mainly transfers water to other canals. In recent years, the government has transformed Dongxing Canal to improve the overall ecological landscape, while highlighting the characteristics of this Hakka cultural asset.
I hope you guys really enjoyed learning about the Hakka culture and enjoy the beautiful scenery that you can check out. Now, this is all the time we have for today, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.